Hi everyone, I'm here to tell you about transplanting roses in Zone 6B. The tools that you'll need are a sharpshooter, shovel, a round point shovel, a bottled glue, a small handsaw, and a loppers. In Kansas City, our zone is a 6B, and the best time to transplant is March or February. It's March right now, so I'm going to transplant this rose and move it to another location. Before I transplant it, I'm going to look at the rose and cut out any dead that I see in the rose, and I'm also going to bring it down to about 2 feet. And so that's why I brought the yardstick out, so that you can see approximately 2 feet is about there. So I'm not taking much from this plant. Okay, so I'm cutting the dead wood out of this rose first. And I've got my loppers, so I want to get in there and take out any dead wood that I see. This piece here is dead, so I'm going to take that out, move that out of the way. And then this piece is really big, but it's so old it just kind of broke away. So that's all I'm going to do is knock that back. Then I'm going to take the rose down. Like, these canes all look pretty good. There's a little rose borer hole right here on this particular cane. So the rose borer could go way down into the rose cane. So I'm going to cut and see how far that's gone. And you look, and it doesn't look like it's gone any further than that. So I can keep that. Although, actually, this cane is also dead. So I'm going to cut that out. So I don't have much left on the rose. This little piece here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut that because it's so small. And then I'm just going to make some cuts at about 2 feet. And I'm not worried too much where I'm making the cut. I can come in later and make a cut to go right above a bud, because that's normally where you make your cut is, well, I'll just show you right now. You just make your cut kind of like that, just above a bud. Once you've done this, then you get your glue. And this is an important step because of the rose borers that can be a problem in our area, and I think in most areas. But you just want to glue those cuts so that you're giving a protective layer to your rose canes to keep the borers out. Next, I'm going to dig out the rose, and I'm going to put the rose on the tarp. And I'll put it on this tarp to keep the roots from being exposed to the air for very long. I'm going to try to stay about 1 foot to 1.5 feet away from the base of the rose. But this rose has been growing in shade for so long that it may not have much of a root structure. Hitting the root. I am going to have to cut some of these roots just to get it out. This rose has been in here a long time. Wow. That's okay. If your rose looks like this, it just means it's an old rose. It still has these little feeder roots here, and that's really good. So we can just put that on the tarp and cover up the roots, because like I said, the air can really damage the root system and dry it out, and we don't need to stress the rose any more than it already has been. So let's take this over to the location I'm going to plant it, and we'll show how to plant the rose. So now we've got the hole, and I dug a hole about 16 inches by 16. You know, it just kind of depends on how much root you have. I've kept the rose covered to keep the roots from being exposed too long, but I did damage the roots a little bit, which isn't terrible, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this damaged root. And there are still a lot of these little feeder roots, which are really great. So I'm just going to cut that. And this is a grafted rose. It does have like a graft here, and then the roots go off this way. So I would like to keep the graft at about the level that it is right now when I put it in the hole. So it's going to go in, and it's a little lower than ground level. So I'm going to pull some of this dirt or soil into the hole. And then that's about where I want it, because I want it just like 1 inch to 2 inches. You know, the graft should be about 1 inch to 2 inches below the soil. So I'm just backfilling the hole halfway just to get it stabilized. And that's where I want it. So it's 6 weeks later, April 27th, when I'm shooting the second part of this video. And as you can see, the rose I transplanted has really put on a lot of growth and looks really good. The product I wanted to talk to you about that I use is called Mushroom Stuff. And I've used this product since 2008. It feeds the mycorrhizae on the roots of the plant, which help uptake nutrients and increase root mass. So it's worked really well for me for any kind of plant, but whenever you're transplanting, I think it's a great product to get. But anyway, this particular rose, after I filled in the hole halfway with soil, what I did was I poured the mixture of Mushroom Stuff into the hole. Then I filled the hole back in with soil, and then tamped that down and watered it in again. And after that, and this is one of my most important things when you're planting a bare root rose or transplanting, is to mound up soil around the canes so that the rose canes won't dry out. So I did that, and then I just checked on it, you know, every other day, and watered it twice a week to make sure that it stayed moist. And I love the results. This was in a very shady spot, and it never bloomed, and it never had this much foliage on it. So I'm excited that it'll have a lot of leaves and lots of bloom this spring. Here you can really see all of the leaves that have come onto this plant in the last 6 weeks. It's done really, really well. So I'm very, very happy with it. So I hope you liked this video. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe.